Hello class, in this video I will be discussing the complementary angle theorem. Let's begin. So what does the complementary angle theorem state? Well, it states that cofunctions of complementary angles are congruent or equal. And you're probably wondering what some of these terms mean. I'm going to start with complementary. So in the diagram below, there are two angles, angle theta and angle alpha. And if you add theta and alpha together, that sum has to equal 90 degrees. Therefore, theta and alpha are complementary angles. And two angles are complementary if they sum to 90 degrees. The next term that I'm going to talk about is cofunctions. So over here to the bottom right, I have a list of functions, sine, tangent, and secant, and I'm going to list their cofunctions. Here we go. The cofunction for sine is cosine. The cofunction for tangent is cotangent. The cofunction for secant is cosecant. If you were looking closely, you probably saw a little pattern. Notice that the cofunction starts with CO every time. Cosine, cotangent, cosecant. Okay? So now that we have the complementary angles and the cofunctions taken care of, why is it that cofunctions of complementary angles are equal? Well, let's go to our triangle over here and I'll show you an example why. Let's start with sine of theta. So sine of theta is the opposite side of the right triangle to the hypotenuse. So sine of theta is going to be the ratio b divided by c. Now the cofunction for sine is cosine. So I want to look at cosine. And the complementary angle for theta is alpha, so I want to figure out the cosine of alpha. Cosine is the adjacent side to the hypotenuse. So the adjacent side to alpha happens to be b. So that is b. The hypotenuse does not change, that's still c. So notice that the sine of theta is equal to the cosine of alpha. And that is because sine and cosine are cofunctions and theta and alpha are complementary angles. And you can go through all of the examples on your own. Do an example with tangent and cotangent and secant and cosecant, just so you can get a feel of what's happening. I do have a couple of basic examples here that I want to show you. It says fill in the blank so that the two expressions are equal. Okay. So the cosine of 30 degrees equals sine of what? Well, since sine and cosine are cofunctions, all we need to do is find an angle that is complementary to 30 degrees. So 30 degrees plus what degree is equal to 90 degrees? And in this case, x is going to be 60 degrees. So cosine of 30 degrees is equal to 60 degrees. Next example. Blank of 42 degrees is equal to the tangent of 48. All right, so let's take a look at the angles here. 42 plus 48. Well, that's 90 degrees. So we need to find the co-function for tangent so that these two expressions are equal. And the co-function for tangent is cotangent. So the cotangent of 42 degrees is equal to the tangent of 48. Last example. Secant of 36 degrees is equal to blank of 54 degrees. So like the previous problem, these are complementary angles. So if we want equality, we want to find the co-function for secant. And in this case, that is cosecant. So that is equal to the cosecant of 54 degrees. And that is the complementary angle theorem in a nutshell.